The following is a presentation of KSL Sports. First and 12. A total roundup of BYU and Utah football and the expanded Big 12 Conference. Subscribe to the First and 12 podcast. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Alex Kirry on KSL News Radio.
Hope all of you are having a great Tuesday evening. Mitch Harper and Alex Kirry with you talking Big 12 football here on First and 12. And right now, it's the most debated segment on our program. It's the Big 12 Power Rankings.
The Big 12 Power Rankings. A weekly rank of all 16 programs, from the elite to the bottom dwellers.
Alex, we've got a change at the top of the Power Rankings. We've got a new number one.
I'm okay with this one, too, and I think this is one that you and I both we have to come to a consensus on these. We have to have a quorum. We have to have a unanimous vote within the quorum. Gustavo, running the board, also agrees on most of these. I will say that I'm not doing this to I'm not doing this to pander to any kind of local crowd or anything. I just think right now we've seen more out of them. TCU has played one football game this year.
Yes.
It is wild to me that they have. So we swap places between Utah and TCU. We could see TCU being the best team in this league.
Who's number one, Alex?
The Utah Utes are number one in this power poll, and I'm okay with it. I mean, this is a team that has reinvented this offense and has re-remembered who they are as a program. So doing those two things has really kind of turned things around, and we might be saying at the very end of the season about a team who's going to be in the Big 12 championship. I don't know anybody else who has the type of style and flair that this team does, along with a crazy defense that you expect out of Morgan Scalley and Kyle Whittingham every year. Utah feels back. We obviously need a little bit more of a sample size, but, when we're making these power rankings early in the season, I think Utah's done everything that they have been asked to do. They've scored 106 points in 2 games. They've piled up more than 1,000 yards of offense, one of those against a Power 4 team, and it's not a very good one because, UCLA, we saw this last week, lose to UNLV. Maybe they end up being a 1-11 team by the end of it, and we go, wow, maybe we were fooled a little bit by that outcome at the beginning. But Utah's passed all the tests so far, the eye test specifically. And how about Devin Dampier, who the numbers are crazy because, and it's only 2 games, but when they asked him to come in, they go, you can't do this throwing interceptions garbage, man. We love your athleticism. We are going to get you protected, so you better throw the ball. It better be on time. It better be accurate, and you better take care of that thing. He's at over 80% completion percentage in the year. Early, I know, but last year he was sub 50, right? He was just under that 50%, and that doesn't fly with Kyle Whittingham, and he has 0 interceptions through 2 games. It's going to get more difficult competition as things go along here, not necessarily this week, but I think you're going to see another week of probably 40 to 50 points on the board for Utah, and pretty close to single digits that they're going to allow probably against Wyoming as well. And so I think Utah needs to be at the top there. I spent too much time talking about it, but I got Utah 1, and we have TCU hanging out at 2 because I still think that they are one of the better teams in the conference from a talent standpoint.
Well, and just to add to Utah, I just think a new offensive scheme with Jason Beck, and it's just been crisp out of the gates. Mm-hmm. And that's because you still thought there'd be, I thought there'd be a little bit of a filling out even against UCLA. And they just came out and it was operating at a high level. And Whittingham has talked extensively about how the old days of the tough, challenging offenses, code for Andy Ludwig's offense, it's gone. It's just simple plug and play. You get a guy in May, well, he can learn this offense quick, and that's why their offense is churning, is operating at a high level, and even the defense is kind of scaled down a bit too, and they're still performing at the typical levels you expect from Utah. So yeah, I think them being at number 1 is the right move. 2 Iowa State, as you know, to 3 TCU, only 1 game thus far, and I think also what factors into them dropping a little bit, North Carolina follows up that game against TCU and struggles against Charlotte. They won, but still, like the resumes that we're looking at so far, that 1 win is not the greatest for TCU, even though I think TCU has got some great personnel.
Are the Air Jordan memes out of North Carolina just absolute pure gold or what?
It is hilarious.
Air Jordan is in it. Jordan Hudson. I mean, it is amazing. The stuff that's coming out of there. Bill Belichick.
Enjoy him now because it's probably only going to be this year, I would imagine.
I would say, too, come on, man. Just right off into the sunset, into retirement, man. It would have been awesome instead of having to go through this embarrassing debacle that they've got going on down there.
Number 4, Texas Tech, who has played no one, but they, like Utah, is just hammering teams. That offense is putting up big numbers. Texas Tech looks every bit the high priced roster that they are right now.
Yeah, Baylor at 5, I think that's fine for a team that's 1-1. They have one of the most impressive wins that the Big 12 has this entire season, if not the most impressive, because it was on the road in Dallas. SMU came out of the gates, and they were ahead by a couple of touchdowns the entire game, it felt like. And when they finally kind of whittled that thing down and they sent this thing to overtime, it was Baylor who answered the call and able to get that win on the road. And so I like them at 5, even though they're only 1-1 on the season.
One thing about Baylor, though, defense, a little bit worrisome, giving up almost 450 yards per game. You got to get that right in this league, but still, they've got the offensive firepower to keep up when you're giving up a lot of yards. Number 6, BYU. I think, again, the offense is a filling out process right now. And then they got an injury to JoJo Phillips, who had surgery. And Kalani noted it's going to be some time without JoJo Phillips, who appeared to be the top target for Bear Bachmeier. They developed a really good chemistry in fall camp. He had 7 targets in that game against Stanford. Now he goes out. So BYU staying status quo at 6, and I think they kind of like flying under the radar a little bit, and I think they're going to be a really good football team, and they might have the best defense in the Big 12. BYU, they've got far and away the best defense in the Kalani Sitake era. They are looking excellent on that side of the ball, and that's going to give them a chance to win any football game on this schedule.
Taking the biggest tumble, I think, this week was Arizona State, who went from 3 down to 7 with their bad loss at Mississippi State. It's not that Mississippi State's a bad team. It's that the way they took that loss, this is not a team that is made of championship stuff currently. We had them obviously at the very top a couple of weeks ago as we started this thing, and they've, didn't impress. They didn't super impress the first week, and then here we are talking about a team who took a loss at Mississippi State that they were hoping were going to be coming out of SEC country with not even an easy win, but just probably one that should have been more clinical, and they're just not even close to that right now. Number 8, Kansas. I still like what I see out of Lance Leipold's guys. I think Jalen Daniels is pretty darn good.
It was a great start, too.
Yeah.
They were up 21-0, and you thought, man, they're going to get this done.
And handing that away with that point, like when you do get up that much and then you can't, start to put the screws down on a team, like that's when you need to take advantage. And that's a rivalry game that you're not just supposed to, like, Kansas needs to turn the corner on this whole program, because Lance Leipold was supposed to bring them so much success, and he's way better than we've seen coaches at Kansas, but they just haven't been able to pull off the things that we've been hoping that they were going to. This could have been a signature win for them, at least to start this season off, but I still think they're one of the more talented teams. Into the single digits. Congrats to the Arizona Wildcats, who made it up. I'm fine with them at 9 because I think they're proving a lot. But you said it earlier; they're quietly making this progress, and I think they probably prefer it that way.
Yeah, and they've only given up 9 points to the first 2 games, only 4.5 points allowed. Their defense has been really good. They're balanced offensively. New offensive coordinator Seth Day, I think, is a really good fit with Noah Fafita. I like what they're doing right now. Again, schedule's been light; it's all been at home. They got another home game this week, but they're trending up quietly in the Big 12. Number 10, Houston. And Houston, kind of similar to Arizona, very quiet so far. The defense continues to be really good. They lost Shale Wood to Texas Tech, and the defense is still operating at a high level, only allowing 186 yards per game.
Their offense cannot score, though. That's part of the issue, right?
I do think, though, there was such a low bar last year, kind of like Utah, where I still see a lot of progress, not to the level of Utah, of course, but I think that Connor Wegman has done a nice job thus far to where they got a little bit more playmaking ability on the offensive side, but still you got to get it up to 35 points a game if you want to be at the top end of this league.
Absolutely. Moving on here from Houston, Cincinnati 11. Colorado is, I think, staying. Were they at? Yeah, they were 13 last week. They went up with a win, but their quarterback stuff that's going on there.
Very strange.
It feels like progress to them, I'm sure, because they're like, well, look what Ryan Staub's doing. But I think for the rest of us on the outside looking in, you go, oh, Prime's got a little bit of a mess here of guys of a lot of talent who aren't able to convert that onto the field, and that's concerning for Colorado fans.
Just blows me away, the idea of a 5-star true freshman getting beat out by this guy that's been labeled the 3rd string, and who knows, maybe all along Staub was the 2nd string and they just weren't disclosing it in Boulder. Who knows, but that, to me, if you're really going to turn to Staub, the 3rd string quarterback, to me that speaks louder about Salter and Juju Lewis, that they are not a fit, maybe on the field, off the field. I mean, it'll be interesting. Staub looked good, though, and credit to Prime if he just wants to, not worried about egos and juggling rosters, because sometimes coaches, they don't have the courage to tell a 5-star, okay, you're going to be beat out by this 3rd string guy that's just been riding the pine and no one knew his name a week ago. They wouldn't have that courage, but Coach Prime's different, and I think that's what's cool about him, is that he's got that almost mystique, if you will, where it's like, I'm not worried about your ego. I've got probably the biggest ego in the room. I can make this move, and you're going to be okay. It's going to all work out.
Right.
So I'm okay with it. I think Colorado, though, still a little bit I'm not as bullish on them as maybe I thought they would. I was going into the year. I think they're definitely a big step back from last season, but still, getting a win's a win, and they're off to a 1-1 start.
So the bottom of the league, I think, is easier to find out a little bit right now. The very bottom. UCF, I don't think is great at all. I think because I think Colorado, Cincinnati, Houston, Arizona, those teams, we could see those shifting around.
They could take a climb,
but I don't see them falling further than these teams right now that could be in the absolute dumps by the very end of it. UCF not playing great football right now. Scott Frost guys, they're just
2-0 though.
They're 2-0. They're kind of limping along. They don't feel like it feels like as soon as they start to hit that competition, it's going to be a rough go for them. Kansas State is on the verge of having a really awful season. Like I said, if they lose this weekend at Arizona, it could be the beginning of the end of the season already for these guys. And mark it down, never play a game in Ireland after this season, after this thing's said and done. And then the last two, 15 West Virginia, and then the only reason they're 16 is because we couldn't put them at 20. It's the Oklahoma State Cowboys, who are an absolute terror right now. That is a mess of a program. Their starting quarterback got hurt on top of all this, and so they have bad personnel in right now, a coaching staff that is absolutely an abscess right now on this team, and they got to clear out some of this infection before they get this thing healed up again, man.
They've got a bye week. I'm really curious to see if they show any fight coming out of the bye. Last year they did. Remember that BYU game? They were coming off a bye, and they gave BYU everything they could handle with Ollie Gordon, and I think it was, who was that? Garrett Rangel was the quarterback.
That's right.
They threw everything at BYU. Let's see if Oklahoma State's got some fight, because this could be the moment where that whole locker room just says, we're done. And that whole coaching staff even, because they're all new. There's really no commitment to Oklahoma State. This is all a transactional roster like pretty much all of them are.
Yeah.
But more so them because they all just joined up this year. So I'm curious to see if they show some fight coming out of the bye week, because after that 69-3 loss, it could be easy just mailing in on the year.
We've got more to add to this conversation about where the rankings are right now. We'll have a look across the national rankings, including the AP poll that came out, the coaches poll, of course, everybody's looking at, and then the teams that could be ranked in the Big 12 after this week. You got to get as many names in this thing as possible. We know that the rankings don't matter really right now, but at the same time, you got to get as high ranked as possible, as early as possible in the season to get everybody's attention. So stay right here with us. More to go. It is 102.7 FM and 1160 AM. It's KSL News Radio, and this is First and 12.